What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on either twitch.tv or YouTube. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, today we finally got to it. Today is the day. It's a very special day. It's the day where we forget everything that's going on in the sporting world, and we focus on one thing and one thing alone. And that is our predictions for the NBA season. These are the official ones. These are what we usually called on the fast break, our hold 'em to us predictions, the ones where you can put the gun to our head and say, this is the official one, no longer the kind of wishy-washy or the flip-flop back and forth. Sure. I'm going to ask you before we get into everything, how confident are you in your predictions?
Fucking -7%. Like, what do you want from me? James Harden's going to get traded at some point this season. That's going to fuck shit up in these. Like, it's... there are so many moves that will continue to be made throughout this season. Mm-hmm. There will be injuries. There will be this. There will be that. Go ahead and pull up for 2018 or 2019, and let's see how those predictions did. Give the people context for how smart we are.
Last year...
I picked the Rockets as the #1 team.
Yeah, you had the finals last year. You had the Clippers over the Bucks. Yeah. I had the Warriors over the Bucks. And Sean had the Trailblazers over the Bucks. So we were all wrong.
With the addition of Blake Griffin.
Yes, with the addition of Blake Griffin. You were the only one that had the Lakers going to the Western Conference Finals. I had them losing to the Clippers in the second round. Sean had them losing to the Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals, so I scratched that. You guys both had them going. I had the Heat going to the second round. You only had the Heat. You had the Heat losing in the first round to the Sixers. Sean had them as the 8th seed losing to the Bucks. And I really said Steph Curry was going to be MVP.
I really don't remember that. You basically picked the Warriors shit out of spite because I shit-talked them pre-show. I mocked you for having the Warriors in the playoffs.
No, I know that. I know I was...
Steph's going to come back and drop 35 on you, and he will carry them to the championship and all this shit. I was just like, no.
I thought I went with the... Because I know later on when we did the predictions at the playoffs, I said double Giannis.
I got one thing
MVP.
Right. I got John Morant correct as Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, you technically got it right that we were going to get the same person that won the MVP won Defensive Player of the Year. You just picked the wrong player.
I picked the wrong double pick. Yeah, you're right. I picked Joel Embiid. Obviously, ended up being Giannis. Sean got none of that right.
Yeah. Why did I pick fucking Quinn Snyder to be Coach of the Year?
I mean, he's a psychopath, but I don't know if that makes him the... Who won Most Improved Player? I couldn't even tell you today.
Oh, it was Luka. Because he said give it to Devonta. That was the whole thing. Luka. I think Luka won. Yeah. I think Luka won. See, second year player winning most, or did he? I know he got nominated and he said no, give it to Devonta Graham because he deserves it more than I do. Did he win it? Didn't Luka end up winning it?
Went to Brandon Ingram.
That makes sense.
He deserves the hell out of that award.
That makes sense. I know DeAndre Ayton was the year before.
No.
Was he 2 years before? I know. Okay, wasn't DeAndre Ayton one of those?
Giannis Antetokounmpo, CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler,
DeAndre Ayton was one of them. Unless I'm thinking rookie of the year. That's what I'm probably thinking.
Anderson, 2011, 2012.
What?
There's a pedigree up until that year, you know? It's like Paul George, Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, CJ.
Hey, Ryan Anderson wasn't bad.
Ingram. That's like straight all-star talent down, and then Ryan Anderson.
Ryan Anderson wasn't bad. He got traded, and then he got traded to the Rockets, I think it was, and then it was like Rockets didn't know how to fucking use him.
They did. He stood behind the three-point line and shot threes. That's all he had to do. They had to pay him.
He wasn't the same. Like he wasn't used the exact same as he was before. So we're going to get into our predictions today. Before we get into everything, though, let's go through the quick housekeeping. Number one, join the best community on the internet if you have not joined it today. Link down below to our Discord in YouTube or ! Twitch chat into Yeah, exclamation Discord into Twitch chat is what I'm trying to say. To get into that Discord, if you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids. So go ahead and do that. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. Link down below our exclamation Patreon into Twitch chat for that. We're live on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. But we are also on YouTube at MVP Sports. And Dave, before we get into the predictions, we got one thing to do. I don't want it to break up the show. I just want to do it early on. Let's start with Wet Boys. The dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men, sometimes the mistiest of misses. These are our Wet Boys. These are the guys that are, or the girls, that popped off the day before that we want to give some credit to. Today, Dave's got a Wet Boy. I got a Wet Boy. Usually the patrons at patreon.com/MVPvids get to vote, but today they did not vote on a Wet Boy, so it's just 2 today. And Dave, I'm gonna let you go first. It is the guy you did send at me, Dave. You said it was this guy or nothing, depending on if the Patreons voted. Who's your Wet Boy for December 8th, 2020?
I'd go with my boy Josh Allen, just cannon for a fucking arm. Look, he was very good. Like it felt like a clean game. Honestly, very competitive. At least it was a whole lot more enjoyable to watch that Pittsburgh Steelers game, which was just nothing but yelling at their. Never mind. It was not a great game, but the Buffalo Bills had a really good game. So Josh Allen, credit to you, another great performance. And you're not in the MVP category anymore. That's clearly Rodgers, Mahomes, and then everybody else. But you're in that everybody else category. You're pretty high up. You're maybe number 3 or 4.
Yeah, and the thing I loved about it was Colin Cowherd put out a Twitter video, Dave, with fucking stogie where he's like just bashing Pittsburgh fans, where he's like, you know what, Pittsburgh, I want an apology from you because I told you your team's a fake. He goes, and actually, I'm going to get to watching a real football team like I am right now in the Buffalo Bills. Basically, like, bashing Steelers on his point that he's been saying that the Steelers are fake. They're not as good as they really are or as good as their record, and that they won't go anywhere in the playoffs compared to, like, the Chiefs and the Bills. Fucking loved it, because cocky Cowherd is the best kind of Cowherd. It's the only kind of Cowherd.
It is B-tier, wannabe Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless level trolling.
Is it, though?
Yes.
I mean, with him, though, it's because he made the point on his show, and then the Steeler fans came after him on Twitter, so he was coming back at them after their first... Losing to Washington, kind of a big thing. When you lost to the NFC East, who we clown on every single show.
Hey, that's your division leader in the NFC East.
Are they?
That's a playoff.
I thought the Giants are.
I think they're going to take it from the Giants.
Okay.
They won like a couple straight games, two games in a row now.
Also, did you hear the compliment that Mike Tomlin gave Chase Young while they were mic'd up on the field, where Tomlin basically was like telling him he's a good player, but he's like, hey man, I just got to tell you, like, we're never going to be able to get a player like you because you got to suck really bad to get a player like you. It was one of those things where it's like, can't tell him he's a good player. You got to tell him that we're not bad enough to get you. Kind of a backhanded compliment from Mike Tomlin. Dave, I got to go from the football field. I'm going to go to the hardwood and a game between Morehead State and Eastern Kentucky. I'm going with Michael Moreno. And the only reason I'm going with Moreno, not only did he score 29 points, this was a game they won by 3, and Moreno hit the game-winning layup and made the free throw to win the game with 3 seconds left. Game-winning layup. It's one of the... I was trying to look. I'm like, okay, who had some good performances in college basketball? You always got to get it when you have a last-second shot, last-second layup. Also, Dave, because I'm going to prove these through you now, I changed it to slashes. You like the slashes over the dashes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Then we finally found our graphic. We're gonna keep it with the slashes for our field goals and 3 points. But yeah, 10 of 16 from the field, fucking 50%, 6 of 12 from 3. Fucking had himself a game, and the Colonials walked away with the win. I believe it was a home game for them against Morehead State, who is now, they are 1-4. Eastern Kentucky is now 4-1. So they're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. But Dave, let's get into our predictions proper, about 10 minutes into the show, into the podcast. we'll start with the Eastern Conference, and how we'll do it is we'll have you go first, I'll go second, and then I'll go ahead and read off Soapy's and show his. Let's go through. We're going to go through the standings first. So we'll go through the standings in the East. We'll talk about the East. We'll go through the standings in the West. We'll talk about the West. And then we'll end everything with showing our playoff bracket and then kind of talking about how the playoffs could go this year. So starting with your 1 through 15 in the East, how do you got it breaking down for the Eastern Conference?
I'm just going to put this out there. For anybody who made it through 10 minutes of bullshit, congratulations to you. You get rewarded by hearing picks.
It's not bullshit.
No, let's be honest.
Wet boys, that's disrespectful to the Wet boys, man. Like,
I'm just saying, if people come into this video to hear,
dude, you know how it is. There's fucking timestamps. Hit it down below. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're coming live, you're coming to see us. If you're on YouTube, there's fucking timestamps. Come on now. That's disrespectful to the Wet boys, Dave, and I won't stand for it.
I will stand for it.
Because you're disrespectful.
Right. So going 15-1 in the East. That's where I'm starting, right?
Yeah.
Right?
You can go either way, 1 to 15 or 15
I like
to
1. 15-1. I like to let the suspense rise. So 15, obviously at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. I'm going with the Knicks. Massive surprise here. They did not get a point guard. Therefore, they will still be a terrible team. Wow, you just put my whole thing up there right away.
Yeah, the graphics, the whole thing. That's why I said either way.
12 the Hornets, 11 the Magic, 10 the Bulls, 9 the Pacers, 8 the Hawks, 7 the Raptors, 6 the Wizards, 5 the 76ers, 4 the Nets, 3 the Celtics, 2 the Heat, 1 the Bucks. There we go.
I mean,
as fast as I could get that out there to match the graphics.
But here's the thing. It's really the audio listeners are the only ones that are like wading through all of them.
Yeah.
Which the audio listeners might have been like, wait, what did you say? Fuck it.
They're going to have to go fucking look at the video now.
Go to YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube. But that is Dave's 1 through 15.
Bam, you get the whole thing right now.
I mean, I'm not going to have...
Love the logo you chose for the Heat.
Yeah, so the reason why I chose that, by the way, is the regular Miami logo. The only one I could find had Miami, like the black text Miami Heat underneath it, and I fucking hate that. I just wanted the basketball, and I found it. I found the Vice one, so I'm like, fuck it, we're gonna use the Vice logo. For mine, just want to make sure I'm clicking the right one. I'm going to go 1. I'm going to read them 1 through top 1 through 15. So the Bucks are going to win the first seed. Nets are going to be the second seed. The Miami Vice will be the third seed. Might be a little high for them. Raptors will be at 4. Celtics at 5. 76ers the 6th seed. The play-in tournament will be the Wizards at 7. The Pacers at 8. Hawks at 9. Bulls sneaking in at the 10th seed. And then the non-playoff teams, the Magic at 11. The Hornets at 12. The Knicks at 13, Pistons at 14, and then the lowly Cavs sitting there at the end. And then rounding it out is our good man, Soapy Muffin, and his are as follows. Same thing. Bucks at number 1. We all have a clean sweep of the Bucks. Celtics at 2, 76ers at 3, the Miami Vice Heat at 4, Nets at 5, Raptors at 6. The Wizards will be at 7, the Hawks at 8, the Pacers at 9, the Magic at 10. He's got the Bulls 1 out at 11. The Hornets at 12, his Pistons at 13, the Knicks at 14, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers at the last spot in the East. So the thing I kind of want to start with, Dave, we're going to get into the playoff teams. Those are going to be the main discussion. But I want to start at the bottom because to me, there's an interesting conversation at least to where the non-playoff teams, I think that the Magic will be interesting because the Jonathan Isaac injury, I think, is going to hurt a little more than some people may think. But at the bottom, you got Pistons, Knicks, and Cavs.
Yep.
How are these teams going to be affected by this year? Because you had brought up before we started the show, when Soapy was still talking to us, Blake Griffin might win this Pistons team games to where they might not be even in this bottom 3, to where if he plays a lot of games and they're not able to trade him at all this season, could the Pistons maybe not be 13, 14, 15 and could be maybe 11 or 10?
100%. Like this, if Blake Griffin can be who he had been, 2 years ago, which is asking a lot. Let me just put it out this way. It's a very low percentage he will get there, but hey, He was a top 5 player in the league just a couple of years ago. He's had plenty of time now to get over his injuries. He should be back, healthy, happy. He's got interesting new pieces around him. We'll see how the floor spacing looks. There's a lot of question marks out there on that roster. But with Blake and Derrick Rose on the roster to start the season, I think the Pistons can absolutely win some games in the East. They are not out of playoff contention with this roster. Now, are they favorites to make playoffs? No. But I think that 9-10 race for the bottom of the East is going to be a close one. You mentioned Jonathan Isaac's injury. That's the whole reason I have the Magic missing. I think Chuma will play. He will look good, but the defense will be noticeably different out there. So that's why I can't take that for granted. But yeah, I think the Pistons, they can win some games. That's why I'm like, oh, wow, you got them at 14. I got them at 13. And then Soaps had them where?
He had him at 13 also.
Yeah, so we're all in the minds of they'll win some games, but not enough to actually probably matter.
Yeah, with me, the whole reason I have them at 14 is I think that I know Soapy, the resident Piston fan in the room for us, he said that Gores wants to win games. Obviously, if you're an owner, you want to win games, but realistically, I think this season is going to be the moving on from Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin, because we've already seen the Dwayne Casey saying Killian Hayes is going to be the starter. That to me is telling, because that to me says, Derrick Rose is obviously going to be the backup, but it's also I think the Pistons are going to move on from Derrick Rose officially, like many of us think, where he'll probably get traded to a playoff contender. I think Blake Griffin is in that camp also of, if they can find a deal, which I think they will by the trade deadline. Yet again, like you brought up before we even went live, of how many games does he play with the Pistons to where if it's all the way to the trade deadline, how many games does he will them to victory in those?
Like a handful of games, easy.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about these, so that could be decided by a handful of games.
Yeah, to where they could even be 11 or 12 and be outside of that 13 to 15. The other thing, and this is where we'll get into the playoffs because the top 10 are now playoff seeds. The one thing, and Soapy brought up this worry, I have this worry. What?
Just jumping over the Hornets and Magic.
Well, I mean, the Magic I brought up. The Isaac injury, I think, is going to be substantial. Yes, they get, like you keep bringing up, that they're going to have Chuma back this year. But yet again, coming off an injury, what do we expect there? It's kind of like how some people think the Nets are not going to make the finals or not be as good because, what are we going to think from Kevin Durant? Now, Chuma is nowhere near Kevin Durant, so we don't have to worry about that. But I think that the Magic are not – it's not like, they're totally out of it. Same with the Hornets. They're not totally out of it. Like, they could both get the 10 seed. I just have them just missing out, and that might be better for them. The one team I worry, and Soapy even brought this up too. Soapy's got this team at 7. I have this team at 7. You have them at 6. Because of the trade they made, are we overhyping the Wizards and putting them too high? Like, that is a worry that I have. That, yes, Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook are very good. Yes, they have talented players on this team. But are we overhyping the Wizards even by having them at 6 and 7?
I had them at 6 before the Bradley Beal or before the John Wall trade happened with Brody. Like, they were already a playoff team in my mind. I thought John Wall return was going to be awesome for them, bringing back that amazing point guard, the court vision, everything about John Wall's game still would pop off. I'm telling you, people are just sleeping on John Wall, and it's ridiculous. So no, it didn't change anything for me. Okay. Like, they were a playoff team. I think more of it has just been like, where are the other teams at? And I think for me, it was the fall for the Pacers and the fall for the Raptors. And I was like, the Wizards could beat both of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers, like the Wizards, it's the only reason I had them, because you said you had them at 6 before John Wall. I'll say this. I had them outside before the trade because the one thing, and we talked about this in our Westbrook and Wall trade, which you can go check out on our YouTube page, is I said the good thing for the Wizards is I have no injury concerns now. Like, I originally had a little injury concern because John Wall, it's like, is he going to get re-injured? Are we going to see the fresh John Wall that we expect to see? Yes. Well, I don't have that injury concern with Russell Westbrook. So to me, him and Beal should be playing together and can will this team to some wins. And it's that Pacer team that, like, to me, the seeding in the East was very hard to come up with. I know Soapy was saying the West was hard. To me, it was the East because I kind of have a feeling that between 2 and 6, maybe 2 and 7, it could be like 1 game, 2 game that separate like 3 or 4 of those teams.
Yep. I'm with you. And I think we had mentioned that we were looking at a prediction for it. And I think they had 5 teams tied with the same record.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean 4 to 7, I think was all the same record or some shit like that. Yeah, it's just it's going to be very close, especially with the shortened season. 10 less games on the season means it's going to be even closer of a race. Every year it comes down to the wire. I expect there to be like multiple games where it's like, are they going to do tiebreakers for seeding? Are they going to do points, strength of schedule kind of thing, like conference record? I'll be curious to know because I'm not an expert on the NBA rule set right now for that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like the tie-breaking rules, I just expect to say the same, whatever they are. I think like
I don't know what they are. That's what I mean.
I think the first one is conference record, and then if that one it's out of conference record, and then it basically goes on and on from there. But I think the first one actually is head to head, and then after that it might be conference. But like that's the whole reason. Like you bring up the shortened season, which I don't think I've brought up yet in this podcast. Is that's why with the Pacers I was like I almost didn't want to put them in the put them in the top 8. I'm so used to saying put them in the playoffs because they're a team to me where it's like, yes, they have Vic. Yes, they have Domantas Sabonis. But like with the offseason being so short and they're a team that fired their head coach, they're bringing a new head coach in, and a lot of these teams are going to have this same kind of thing to go through. The Rockets are going through this as well. You're a new head coach coming in. They got the assistant from Toronto.
Yeah.
How effectively is a team going to look coming in with a new head coach with that shortened offseason? Like, in this Pacer team, like, yeah, the guys have played together, but like, they're going to have, to me, a new philosophy. It's going to be a different kind of system than it was with Nate McMillan, to where I wonder if this season, especially early on, do the Pacers kind of fumble a little bit? And do they kind of take a step back? Plus the question of, hey, they were looking to trade Turner for a Gordon Hayward. Do they still look to trade Miles Turner? Is there a Victor Oladipo trade? Like, the Pacers are a question mark to me, to where I kind of wanted to put them at 6 or 7 because, like, last year that's around where they were. But at the same time, are they going to make moves with the shortened offseason? How effective are they going to be early on with a new coach and a new system coming in? Like, I have so many questions about the Pacers.
I agree. I mean, I like what I saw out of Malcolm Brogdon. I think we learned how much help he does actually need out there to play alongside him in order to keep up, his shooting percentages and everything. So, like, yes, they definitely still need that secondary ball handler. Vic's great at that. It's just a question of, will Vic be there? Will Vic be happy being there? How their offense needs to run through Sabonis at times because he's their best player by far now. So it's like there are a lot of interesting concepts as far as their offense is laid out. And obviously getting TJ Warren buckets because that man breathes fire. And like, what if TJ Warren can't do that this year? What if he's not as good as he was in the bubble? Because that would be incredible if he was. But, let's be realistic here. He's probably not going to shoot, 80, 90 for shooting splits on the season. So
yeah,
let's just back off a little bit there.
Well, I mean, also no bubble. You're not going to get that perfect condition of like waking up from the hotel, walking over. And then also this year, we've already seen it so far with players testing positive for COVID, T's and P's to everyone that's tested positive. But like, there will be more tests as the season goes on. Like, I'm just expecting it to where like
we'll see
that
how
will
early
also
on
plays
the vaccine chart they are. Are they going to get those in January or February?
Good point.
What happens then?
Good point.
Do we see the return of crowds by the All-Star break? That doesn't actually happen, I think.
No, but that's all. Like, what you bringing that up? I know the NFL did a survey of like they asked fans where it's like, what kind of percentage would you like come to like want to come to a football game? And most of them were like, yeah, I'm not coming to like a football game until vaccine is out and fucking like well after a vaccine is out too. So it's like that's
They must not have pulled the South.
I mean, hey, college football's different, Dave. They go to football games every single Saturday.
Clearly, Ricky.
But like it fucking blew my mind. That's like, oh shit, people actually don't want to go to sporting events.
If you get the vaccine, I think they would probably. That's my thing. I'm like, I'm saying the vaccine's available.
Yeah.
And under that assumption, like before the year's out, I wouldn't be surprised to see people in stands.
Yeah. I mean, yet again, that's just we can't control that. We don't know what's going to happen with that. Obviously, but one of the other teams that I know Soapy and I were talking about before you popped into the call for the show, Dave, the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Am I too high on the Nets to have that? Because, I mean, you have them at 4. Soapy has them at 5. Am I too high on the Nets? Am I looking at it at face value going, well, duh, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are on this team, so they're a good team? Should I be looking at it and going, Kevin Durant's coming off of an injury. They're not going to be the second best team in the East. Is that how I should be looking at it?
You can look whatever you want to. That's like your own point of view there. But no, I mean, look, he's Kevin Durant. Even at 80%, Kevin Durant's better than 90% of the NBA. Like, it's how good he is. It's ridiculous. But I'm also accounting for the days that they're not going to play. I think Kevin and Kyrie are going to take turns not playing. I get a very Clippers-esque vibe from last year, except even worse because both these guys have legitimate injuries and injury histories. So you have to be careful with them. You can't overplay them. The NBA went out and said, hey, if you're going to miss a primetime game, that's $100,000. If you miss a non-primetime game, we don't really care. Like, oh, okay. Yes, that works. They pretty much greenlit people to take days off. So I think this is a situation where I don't like their depth. I think that Spence and Karras and those second-tier guys on this Nets team aren't going to be strong enough to carry them. Whereas in my standings, I look at the other teams around them and I go, well, the Heat are fucking deep. The Heat goes 10 deep, no problem. The Celtics go deep because they've got a billion fucking people on rookie contracts. So yeah, I have both of those teams above the Nets, who are top-heavy. They are Lakers-esque, where they've got 2 superstars. But at the same time, those superstars, injuries and days off, that's why I've got them falling. I think the Heat and the Celtics are more likely to bring it on a day in, day out basis than the Nets will.
I think another question is too of like, obviously,
not saying they're a better team. Put that out there.
I mean,
but I'm saying that they're in the regular season as it accumulates games. Yeah.
There was a part of me too, like the Heat too are another team where it's like, to me, it's like, I like the Heat. They're a good team. But like, are they going to be a team that is top 3 in the East, or are they going to be a team where it's like, wow, they're good, but they ended up being 5th because of records out there? And obviously they don't have to worry about the resting players because they're a bunch of young kids. Like they're just going to go and play. It's Jimmy Goran and the young kids, basically. Like the Raptors, to me, how like the thing with the Raptors is, yes, they're basically running it back. I know like they added like Aaron Baines and made some moves over the offseason.
That's why they fell for me.
Well, they've got Ibaka and Gasol. Maybe I'm not looking into that enough, having them at 4. But like, for some reason, I think the Raptors are going to be a team where it's like regular season, no problem. They win games. They found a way to make games happen. And then it's the playoffs where we see the Ibaka and Gasol loss. And obviously, if Siakam doesn't step up again, then it really bites him in the butt.
Yeah, I can't put numbers how much losing Serge Ibaka and Paul Gasol from that team means to them, because it's just their defensive presence in the low post is just gone. It's just a fucking ghost town, Ricky. Like, there's no one there who can stop people from driving on them now. So I think this is going to burn them pretty badly. And again, that was a Gasol who basically, I mean, he's already towards the end of his career, if not at the end of his career, basically. But like, he was still putting up excellent on-off numbers defensively. Like, he was a stud, and he still moved the ball. Like, hey, put him in the post, he can move that ball around. Like, and Serge had a fucking fantastic year. So yeah, I'm off the Raptors hype train. I think they did not replenish as they needed to. Still think they have very good talent on the team, but they just, when you have a hole that big, nah, I can't put you in the top half.
Yeah, I mean, also the other thing, and I know we haven't mentioned this, but like, is them playing at Tampa going to affect them? Because like, it's basically the fact of they're basically playing away from home the entire year. I know that like travel and stuff, like maybe it doesn't make a huge thing, but like
Nobody else has a home crowd, so
no. I'm not saying crowd. I'm saying the fact of like, for example, like if I'm the Bulls, when I come back to Chicago and like, okay, we got 2 games that are in Chicago, you get to go back and sleep in your own bed and kind of feel like a sense of like, okay, I'm at my place. Whereas will it almost feel like every game is kind of like a road game because
they're getting set up with like semi-permanent housing down there. So yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad.
Okay. I mean, obviously too, like, I don't know if it's going to be a thing where, like, I'll ask you, if you were, let's say, Fred VanVleet or something, would you move your family down to Tampa for the entire year and kind of say, like, we're living in Tampa for the year?
No, I mean, like, it's 6 months, you know? And then who knows when the playoffs start, if they're rebubbling or whatever the fuck's going on. So,
yeah.
Plus, if you deal with whole, like, leave the country, come back in the country garbage, I would not. No. If I'm Fred and my family's staying where they're at, it's basically like a bubble again. You know, it's just, hey, you're going to be at that location for the next X months. Like, you just deal with it.
Yeah, that to me, I think might play some sort of handicap for the Raptors. But like the other big thing in the East, and the last thing I'll bring up until like if there's anything you want to bring up too of is James Harden going to get added to any of these teams? I know with the Rockets we're going to talk about kind of where they are in the standings for the West because like there's James Harden could get moved this year, and I think he does get moved. To me, my front runner, like I said in our video yesterday, I think the Nets are the front runner, but apparently the 76ers are also on that list. So like to me, I have the 76ers at 6. Obviously, if they get James Harden, they're bumping up in the standings.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, what is your percentage that James Harden gets added to an Eastern Conference team? I know we talked about who it could be yesterday, but like do you think he gets moved? Has anything changed? Okay, 8%.
Like not much. I mean, it's just I don't see it really happening, and I'm pretty sure the Daryl Morey hate boner in Houston not going to let that deal happen. Like it just doesn't feel like a deal that will happen today. But again, hey, tomorrow James Harden could be at a strip club in like Dubai or something. Like who knows? Like he could just be traveling the world, just being like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not playing for this team. And at some point they're going to have to give in. Like that's the problem. He holds the cards. He already turned down $50 million. So it's not like he cares. But I'm sure he could be a 76er if they went against their own morals and got over their own hatred. That's again not a terrible package, not a great package. Celtics, I've heard rumors, but of course there's nothing there because it's the Celtics. They'll never make a deal happen. I'm telling you, I like the T-Wolves, the Pelicans. Give me some of that. Give me some of that spice.
Okay. Any team in the East you think we haven't talked about that you want to at least have mention on? The Hawks. Tell me about them. What do you think? Like they're a team to me where it's like so. Here,
I got them in the playoffs at the 8th spot. You got them at the 9th.
Well, here's the thing. I put them at the 8th, like the 9th spot, because, like I said, the Pacers to me are the big linchpin here. Where I think the Hawks are a playoff team, and like they're a team where I'm going to be completely honest, and this might spoil things a little bit for the playoffs, but I don't give a shit. It's the play-in tournament, to where even if let's say because like right now 7 through 10 for me were Wizards, Pacers, Hawks, and Bulls. I think the Wizards beat the Pacers. They're a better team on paper. I would go Wizards over Pacers. And then, like, if you're telling me the Hawks are playing the Bulls and the Pacers, I think the Hawks can win 2 games over both of those teams in order to get in. Like, the Hawks, for me, they are going to make the playoffs. It's just a fact of, are they going to do it to where they get to the 6th seed and don't have to play in the play-in tournament? Are they going to get 7 or 8 and only have to play 1 game because they'll win that first one? Or will they be 9 or 10 and have to win 2 games in order to get in?
Eric from the comments section striking hard here. Hawks blew the offseason. They're not making the playoffs.
How did they blow the offseason?
That's a direct contradiction to what we have said and our opinions
How
are. So
did
Eric,
they blow the offseason?
Let us know why you feel the Hawks blew the offseason, because what they did, and I will up there. Yeah, they added key veterans at multiple positions. Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn at the point guard position, Bogdanovich at the 2, Danilo Gallinari at the wing.
Cam Reddish is going to get better.
He's going to get better. Obviously, Clint Capella basically an addition for this season because he almost didn't play with them last season.
Steph Curry 2.0 is going to get better.
Eric saying Gallo getting paid. I would not pay this guy. I mean, the guy shoots 50, 40, 90. Like, he's incredibly efficient. He's one of the best offensive wings in basketball. I know his defense is lacking, but you know what? You're playing on the Hawks. Not like anybody out there is a world stopper.
Well, and this is the thing. Like, if you're going to say they blew the offseason just because they paid Danilo, like, I can understand that. There are people out there that wouldn't have given him the money that the Hawks did. Here's the thing I love about what the Hawks did, though. They said they were going to do this. They said, we're going to get talent around Trae Young. We're not going to waste his window. That's what I want teams to do. Go ahead and do it. And that is what they're doing. Adding in Danilo, adding in Bogdanovich, adding in Rondo. This is a team that knows we have and Chris Dunn, the real KD. But like, they go ahead and even like, fuck, we joke and meme on KD a lot, but like him and Rondo could be effective next to Trae Young. Like, this team is going to be good. They are doing exactly what they said. We have a young team. We have a young superstar in Steph Curry 2.0, Trae Young, and we're going to win now. We're going to go to win now. Do they win the finals right now? No. But like Soapy brought up to me and he goes, one thing he wanted us to do was each conference kind of, who's a wild card in the conference that could shake everything up. So like for him, I think the team that he brought up was like I guess the Pistons could be a linchpin if like Blake Griffin goes off, or like in the
Blake stays on this team and is healthy, and he and Derrick Rose both have great years, then Pistons could be interesting.
But like the Hawks could also be. The Hawks, we could be putting them in the play-in tournament, and then they fucking get to 5 or 6 and go, nope, we're not going to play in that play-in tournament. We exceeded expectations. Like, this could be a Miami Heat of last year, where I'm not saying they go to the finals, we're pumping that brakes, but I'm just saying they could be the team that we look back at the end of the year and go, how the fuck did I have them at 9? Like, they could be making me say that at the end of the year if they play well.
Sure.
Like, not going to put them in the finals.
He's throwing some shade at the Okongwu draft pick and saying, Okongwu's pick after you traded for Capella. I think Okongwu was just BPA. Like, they just felt like, hey, we can get somebody who long-term will fit perfect with Trae Young. Right now, he may not be the best player in the draft, but long-term, he is going to fit perfectly with Trae Young, what we want to do with this team. So,
yeah, and I mean,
on paper, not ideal, but it's just a situation where you just take the BPA and go long-term, because this series of moves reminded me of what the Kings tried to do.
Yeah, you brought that up. They tried to
add smart veterans around De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield, who was a veteran in his own right. She's already like 29. But like, they tried to bolster that roster with a great mix of veterans, and instead all they did was poison the well because they have a shit head coach. Yeah. So obviously that backfired on them massively. Atlanta's situation, I don't know that it will hinder anyone's growth. Like, if Trae Young's not going to lose minutes.
No.
But if Cam Reddish, Herter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins start losing possessions because of these other guys, then we'll see. Like, that could be a situation where you're like, hey, Hawks shot themselves in the foot there.
I got a couple things to respond to Twitch chat. So first off, JD says, I just think Atlanta lacks defense. They did lack defense. That's why they went out and got Rajon Rondo and Chris Dunn. Like, and also you got to think, DeAndre Hunter improving. When he was drafted, one of the things we liked was his 3-point shooting and his defense. And I think Cam Reddish, his defense is going to get better. So like, he's also you drafted Okongwu, who one of the things we like about him is his defense, especially rim protecting. And like, I know Eric brings up paying Gallinari is better than having John Collins on the team. the Okongwu draft pick told me they are trading John Collins. John Collins is not in the future because the way I look at it, and if it was me, if you're going to keep John Collins and pay John Collins, then you're going to get Isaac Okoro in that draft. That's who I would have drafted because to me, that would have added more defense to this team because they got Trae Young. They had
Denny Apia.
What? Denny would have worked. Denny would have worked too because Denny foul. But in my mocks, Okoro would have been my pick for them because that would have been the defense that they need. As my dog just opened the door and Buddy wants to come in here. He has something to say about the Hawks. But Okongwu, that told me they don't want to pay John Collins that max and that they're going to trade him.
So is John Collins for Harden? Is that the new? I saw the ATL has strip clubs.
Or do the Lakers trade for him? Is that
Kuzma?
the Kuzma for John Collins trade that Soapy threw up before he left?
Barf everywhere. But yeah, the whole point is as long as you have a great rim protector, you can drive people to him. You can play a zone defense on certain scenarios where basically, yes, Trae Young is a turnstile out there, but if you can have him turnstile into Clint Capella or Okongwu at the rim, that's going to cause problems. That will help your defense out. It's all about team defense rather than the one-on-one defense when you're playing with those giant holes on the roster at key defensive positions. Better or worse, we don't know yet. But the Gallo situation might send a message about John Collins' longevity on this roster. But they've got the money; they could just pay him. Fuck it. Yeah. Again, they're a mid-sized market. They're not a big New York, LA, but they are not a small like Charlotte. So they are right there as far as free agents are concerned. I wouldn't count anything out with this team because Trae Young is just fucking incredible.
So, very quick last question because we have talked a lot about the East.
Yep.
And
Bulls.
I mean, I'd be remiss to ask a question to us about the Bulls. But are we just being homers? Is that why we have them at 10? Not too 100. High, but right in the fucking play-in tournament.
Just give me the shred of hope that we will make the play-in tournament. I respect Soapy for having the Bulls at 11, the Magic at 10. I don't disagree with that 100%. I think that the Bulls are a potential team. It's how good could we have been if our coach wasn't a stooge? Yeah. How good could we have been if we weren't injured in succession? Yeah. It was one guy down. He's getting ready to come back healthy. Somebody else goes down. He's getting ready. Somebody else goes down. He's getting up. Somebody else goes down. We didn't get to play with our lineup for almost the entire year.
Yeah.
So what up, Thunder Gecko? Love that. I really want to see this Bulls team be healthy under a smart head coach. And now we have even more weapons. Apparently, Patrick Williams is going to take the fucking world by storm here.
Dude, that's why Harden doesn't want to show up. He's afraid of Patrick Williams. He's afraid of getting locked down by Patty Williams.
100%. So, yes, it's a homer pick for the Bulls being the 10th seed. Yes, it's easy to make the case that the Magic could be there, the Pistons could be there, shit, the Hornets could be there. Definitely not the Cavs or the Knicks, though. Those two I will not stand. Nope. But again, if we were all healthy and playing together under a good coach, the theory is that we could win enough games to make the playoffs. That's all I'm tossing out there.
Dave, let's move on. We'll start with you. Western Conference. How's it shaking down this year for the West?
Sure. In the West, I've got the Thunder at 15, the Spurs at 14, the Kings at 13, the T-Wolves at 12, the Pelicans at 11, the Grizz at 10, Rockets at 9, Warriors 8, Suns at 7, Mavericks at 6, the Jazz at 5, the Nuggets 4, Blazers 3, Clippers 2, the Lakers, of course, reigning, defending, undisputed champions.
I'm going to shake some things up with mine. There might be a couple things with mine that I told Soapy might get some people going, and Soapy thinks he's going to get 100% shit for his West. But mine, I'll do the same as you. 15, I got the Thunder. 14, the Spurs. 13, the Kings. Then I have this is yours. I accidentally hit the wrong one. Whoops. I was I did not have the Kings that low. Okay. I have the Thunder at 15, the T-Wolves at 14. That's a little bit better. Spurs at 13, the Kings at 12, Grizz, or the Memphis Drizzlies, I should say, at 11. 10, the Phoenix Suns. 9, the New Orleans Pelicans. 8, the Houston Rockets. 7, the Utah Jazz. 6, the Golden State Warriors. 5, the Denver Nuggets. 4, the Dallas Luka Doncic's. Or Doncic? No, Doncic is ends at a C. Then the 3, the Clippers. 2, the Portland Trailblazers. And the number 1, reigning, defending, undisputed champions, the Los Angeles LeBron James.
Paul Heyman, but I just didn't have it in me.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I'm out of breath by that point.
Plus, I mean, I know Eric's a Laker fan, and kudos for the championship, but like, I really didn't want the Lakers to win the championship, so that's why I'm a little salty about it. And then Soapy's he's got the T-Wolves last at 15, the Kings at 14, Spurs at 13, the OKC Thunder at number 12, the Pelicans at 11, the Grizzlies or the Drizzlies at 10, the Rockets at 9, Jazz at 8, the Suns at 7, the Luka Doncic's at 6, the Warriors at 5, Blazers at 4, Nuggets at 3. Yeah. Having the Knicks at 3, that'd be funny. Clippers at 2, and then the LeBron James at number 1. And Dave, first thing I want to start here is there a chance that the Thunder don't finish last? Because that was the easiest thing for me here. They were a team that basically sold everything in trades, brought in the draft picks. Like, it's their goal to be last in the West this year, right? Right?
It certainly seems like they've got Cade Cunningham written all over them. I don't know how they don't finish last.
Tank
if it comes
for Cade?
down to benching Shai Gilgeous, they will bench Shai Gilgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do not get between Sam Presti and his draft picks.
Yeah.
Like, that is the rule. They want to do that. And you're right. They gutted the roster. Al Horford is there to suck and be old.
I forgot they got Al Horford.
What's up?
I forgot they got Al Horford. And they gave, and on top of it, I got this, Jake put it in the Discord, of not only did the Sixers get rid of Horford, the Sixers got an $8 million trade exception from the Thunder for Horford.
Correct. So we'll see what they do with that, if anything. But yeah, no, like, it's
the bottom of the West is tough because realistically, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 could all make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a world where every single one of those teams make the playoffs. I think the Thunder are the only team I don't see with a way to make the playoffs. I mean, Shea could put up 35-5 this year. Like, he could have a full-on Bradley Beal season, but he'll get more credit because everyone just hates Bradley Beal.
I'm gonna say Thunder and Wolves are my for sure. Like, Thunder and Wolves are my for sure outs. Spurs if they trade DeRozan.
Spurs, yeah. If the Spurs trade DeRozan or Aldridge,
then
obviously they won't make it. But remember, DeRozan's like the 82nd best player in the NBA this year. The 82nd best player is tomorrow.
Fucking hey, Levine's ahead of him. That's all I'm gonna say. Levine's ahead of him.
Love you, ESPN. But yeah, I think the T-Wolves are perhaps underrated because their offense is so incredibly good.
Yeah.
I mean, Ricky Rubio, D'Lo, Malik Beasley / Anthony Edwards, who I already don't like. Cat, like, that is a lot of fucking offense. That is just buckets on buckets. Yeah, I'm doubting Dort. Get off.
Yeah, but they got no fucking D. Like, that's the thing that I hate about the T-Wolves is they've got all the offense, but it's not going to matter when it's basically an open fucking path to the rim for opponents. So where they're just going to get outscored. It's not like they got D'Antoni down there that's like double the offense and none of the defense and we actually win games. Yeah. It's basically, hey, we got offense. Oh, but our defense is literally nothing. It's just a plastic bag in the wind.
Jake Layman, Jarrett Culver, Okogie all play defense. They got some wings who can play some defense.
Jared Culver, there's people that are already like done with Culver. Like, push him to the side. He's done.
They're idiots. Jaden McDaniels could be a superstar. I mean, he won't because he's on this team, but like, you know.
Doesn't help when you got the bust of the 2020 draft on your team too.
Oh, get out of here with that shit.
But you don't think Anthony Edwards could be the bust of this draft?
He probably is, but like that's not the point, Ricky. Look, Okogie plays great defense. Layman plays good defense. And then, they might get something out of Culver. They might get something out of Anthony Edwards. Who knows? Like, there's chance. Ricky Rubio's not terrible on defense.
Yeah.
He's been better. I think they can score a billion points and they can stop somewhat of a strong breeze. There's a chance.
I mean, to me, the more interesting part is in the West, I want to see what happens with the Kings. I kind of want to put them on the fringe, like literally on the fence, because what I think is going to happen to the Kings this year is they're going to get fed up. They're going to fire Luke Walton. Sad to say, because I like Luke. However, he's been dog shit with the Kings. So got to put it where it is. Like, ever since they hired Alvin Gentry, I've been on the fact of like, oh, Luke Walton's getting fired this year. That's is a matter for sure.
Of when, not if.
Yeah. And like, I think that Alvin Gentry is going to rejuvenate the Kings. They'll go on a run, and then they're in it. To me, it wonders of what happens with the Pelicans, Suns, Grizzlies, and Kings. Like, those are the four teams. Where do they end up? Because they're all going to be in a fight. And does even one of them skyrocket ahead of the Rockets, maybe even ahead of the Warriors or Jazz, who I think may be towards the edge, like the bottom half of the West? Does one of those four teams skyrocket into the top six?
Fucking pump the brakes on the Jazz there, okay, kid? We'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah.
Sacramento Kings, though, I love, like, the problem is their roster's not bad. You look at the construction, you go, De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Barnes, Bagley, Rashawn Holmes. They got two great rebounders in there. They've got a solid wing. They've got good shooting from the outside, good playmaking. Like, great. Bagley's been a fucking mystery because he's been hurt time over time again. Their backup center is Whiteside, so at least there's some security there at the 5. And then you got Halliburton. So, like, your highest draft pick, who's supposed to help the team out the most, is a guy who's playing behind your best player in De'Aaron Fox. So his minutes will be limited because we all know how much Buddy Hield hates being on the bench.
Or do they trade Buddy Hield? Is that still an option?
I think that is still an option. I don't think that's anything right now.
Because then you got Fox and Halliburton playing in the starting lineup.
Yeah. So again, they've got some options, but like they do have a good amount of talent if everything hits. But yeah, that's why I think they're a notch below. I'll be honest. Like, I think the Kings are a notch below. Like, I like the T-Wolves, Pels, Grizzlies as a package. I slice the Kings off the bottom of that because I think their coach is horrible. I like the T-Wolves have basically rebuilt their franchise in the matter of like 12 months. The Pelicans, I mean, just fuck. If they can stay on the court healthy, like, what could that team be even with Eric Bledsoe out there? Like, they should be interesting. Love the Grizzlies, but obviously they're starting the season without Triple J and Justice Winslow. So, like, it won't be the smoothest of starts for them. Be a lot of carry job by Jalen Brooks, John Morant, and Jan and Jark. They'll get through it. They'll get through it. And then when they get Justice back and Triple J back, then they're going to be dealing.
And like, don't forget the rookies like Jesmyn Jane.
Oh my God, Jesmyn Jane, yeah. Like they got
Javier Gilman too. That's the only one where it's like you put a J in front instead of an X, and it's like, oh shit, it's Javier.
Yes, it is. You are 100% correct there. But yeah, I did like the pickup of Bane. I did like the pickup of Tillman, and I always forget that they still do have my boy Grayson Allen out there.
Grayson Allen. Yeah,
we will see. We will see. They can get hot again. I like the Memphis team more than I should.
And that's why to me the West, it's like I think you may be able to put the Rockets in here just because of the James Harden situation. Does he get traded? Does he hold out? But like,
if James Harden doesn't get traded, or if he does, let's say he gets traded,
or just doesn't play. Like if they refuse to trade him and he says, "Fuck it, I'm not going to play," because that could happen too.
I think they're still a playoff team.
Yeah, but I'm
John Wall and Boogie. Call me an idiot, but I love injured players. That's my jam. Nobody else has to agree with me on this one. I will go
injured reserve, baby.
That's my jam. That's my guys.
But like, I think they're a playoff team. Obviously, I have them at 8th in the playoffs. But like, I think that the most important race to me, or the most intriguing race to me, is going to be Pelicans, Suns, and Grizzlies, because I think those are going to be the three teams fighting for the 9th and the 10th, those two slots. But then I think of if James Harden doesn't play or gets traded, do the Rockets add into that to where it's now not just three teams fighting for 2 spots, it's 4 teams fighting for 3 spots?
I think you are perhaps sleeping on the Suns.
No, I said Pelicans, Suns, and Grizzlies. Those are the 3.
I got them locked in at 7. You got them at 10. So
yeah,
7. So you are the only person saying that they are like not a playoff team.
10 they'd be a playoff team. I think they're in the play-in tournament. Like Chris Paul helps them, but I think everyone looks at them and goes, "Oh, look at what they were in the bubble." We're not going to see that.
Right, they're not.
They're going to come down to earth. Like
Chris Paul,
yes,
is a massive upgrade on offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went ahead and they added in one of the best bigs in the draft, someone who can shoot from distance and protect the rim. They're going to have DeAndre Ayton for the entire season this year instead of just for, I think, 40 games.
Yeah.
So you get back a chunk of games that Ayton would have won you because, let's be honest, he's very good.
Yeah.
He's just not Luka good. Sorry, you still fucked up. I'm not letting you off the hook for that. And I think they've made the right moves to set themselves up. Look, even if guys like Cam Johnson and Mikhail don't like jump off the page and progress like we all think they should, the addition of Chris Paul makes this team a playoff team in my mind, because a full season of him, a full season of Ayton, Devin Booker out there, like, yes, this team absolutely
Here's the problem with all of this.
Sure.
You can only put one team in a slot. Like, to me, there's 2 teams that throw a wrench into the Suns not being higher. Well, it's 2.5. The half is the Pelicans. I'm a dick rider for Zion.
Okay, so
I'm a dick rider for the Pelicans.
I apologize.
So I'm gonna have the
firmly planted on that man's groin.
So I'm gonna have the Pelicans above Zion. I love you, best young player in the league. Then the other 2 are the Warriors and the Rockets. We already talked about the Rockets. We don't need to fucking harp on that. But like, the Warriors are the other team. Without Clay this year, I still think, like, yes, if Steph gets hurt, then the Warriors could be back to
they're one ankle away from being a terrible team.
I mean, right now, coming into the season, I mean, yes, we're 2 weeks out, so it might not hurt them a lot. But like, Draymond and James Wiseman tested positive for COVID, T's and P's.
So
but like,
be out to start the season and be getting back in game shape shortly after.
Yeah. And hopefully that means it got, like you said, chicken pox. You get it early on. You don't get it again later. But like, they're a team missing Clay, adding in Wiseman. They're adding in they still have Andrew Wiggins, adding in Kelly Oubre. Of how are they going to look? I think they're still a playoff team even without Clay. I think they're good enough at the most. I have them at the top of the potential to me, which is like around 5 or 6. Like 6 is probably them getting to the highest they can do without Clay. Maybe they get higher, and I'm just sleeping on the Warriors. I'm trying to pull my expectations down to earth a little bit, but it's like they are the linchpin, them and the Rockets, of like, depending on what happens with Harden, depending on what happens with the Warriors this year, I think those 2 teams are good enough to be playoff teams to where it's like, where are the spots for the Suns? But I do think the Suns could slide into the playoffs at 10. Like I have them. You should say, why am I sleeping on the Grizzlies? Because I have the Grizzlies missing out.
I don't. Again, I think the Grizzlies missing out's fine.
Okay.
I'm not locked in it. Like, again, I've got the Grizzlies making it as the 10th seed.
Yeah.
If it was the Pelicans over the Grizzlies, it wouldn't shock me. I think that both teams are incredibly young and talented. Yeah. The Timberwolves easily could be swapped with the Grizzlies because they're all young and talented. Like, those 3 teams, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Timberwolves, same potential in my mind. All 3 of them have.
So then, really, all it is I'm higher on the Pelicans than both you.
You are higher on the Pelicans. Yeah. I'm higher on the Grizzlies, and Sean would be higher on the Timberwolves because he loves Cat. Like that's
and Naz Reid. Don't forget about Naz
and his boy Naz Reid. Can't forget. No disrespect to Naz Reid. And they got my boy now, McDaniel. So like that's it. But yeah, it's tough. I got to my boys. But yeah, like that's where it is. Basically, all 3 of us have a different preference on these 3 teams.
Yeah.
But I have it sneaking into the 10th spot. You got them at the 9th, and Soapy's got them up at differently. So,
and let's be honest, I think 9 through 11, my Pelicans, Suns, and Grizzlies, they're all going to be close. It's going to be like a game between them, 2 games between them. Like, it's going to be close. Yeah. No one's going to have a huge lead.
Incredibly close.
Well, and you said, so I brought up the Jazz. You said pump the brakes on the Jazz. Are you saying that I am too low on the Jazz? Is that what you're thinking by having them at 7?
I'm extremely confused by the disrespect you're showing to the Jazz.
Okay.
Like Soapy's got him at 8, and I'm Soapy's lucky he's not on the show, so I can't yell at him directly. What am I missing?
Nothing.
They got better because they're returning Bojan.
Yeah.
Someone who literally put up the same exact stats that Klay Thompson did when he was an All-Star. And that doesn't make them a better team?
So here's the thing I think with the Jazz. Sometimes your seeding does not reflect how talented your team is. To me, yet again, I had the Warriors at 6. Maybe I'm too high on the Warriors in this situation. But also, there's another team that I am high on that, yes, Kristaps Porzingis is probably going to miss a little bit of December and January and then come in like mid-January, early January. I'm high on the Mavericks this year. I think the Mavericks take a step up to where I have them in the top 4, Dave. Originally, I had them at 5. I moved them up 1 to 4 to get the home field advantage over the Denver Nuggets. I just think the Jazz are going to be a team where they could be as high as 4 or 5 to me, but they could also slide down to 7 because, yet again, the West is going to be close. I think this could be the most competitive year of basketball on both sides. This could be the first year that I'm not looking at the East and calling them the weak East, Dave.
I'm with you. I don't think last year was the weak East either, but that's just me.
I mean, it's been getting more competitive, but that's the thing. The Jazz, it depends on the other teams too. Maybe I'm putting too much stock in the Warriors and maybe the Klay thing. Maybe I should be expecting Steph to roll an ankle and get hurt. And they should drop more.
I did call it when it was going to happen. Hey, I got in the playoffs this year. I'm not putting that out there. I'm just saying.
I like
the Jazz. I'll just put it that way. Mike Conley's second year in the system. He started to look good as the season went on. Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. Bojan, again, he literally does nothing but knock down shots and play elite defense. He's so fucking good. Royce O'Neal's excellent still. Still got Gobert, who's just underrated. They brought back Favors. They still got the Clarkson Ingles second unit, which ball handler score. They can basically plug and play whoever they need, these 2 guys. So I just think they've got a really well-rounded roster. I don't see a massive flaw in it. And I guess that's where I'm kind of frustrated. It's just like they can kind of flex here and there to make things happen. Now in the playoffs, how many games have I been winning? Obviously, that's the Rudy Gobert syndrome. But
well, do they trade him too? I saw something today that do they trade Rudy Gobert for DeMar DeRozan?
Subs guy, you're just fucking Subs. You want to pick a fight with me right now? Get in Discord. I will fight you over the Jazz.
Oh, Dave's like, come on, want to fight about it?
Want to fight about it?
Want to fight about it?
Yeah, I love the Mavs. I fucking love Luka Doncic, but they're going to miss KP for a chunk of the season. So that's why I've got them lower. I think being without KP for 15 games or so, that's going to hurt them. And then Luka's had minor tweaks. So I'm just going to, again, hope for his health. Knock on some wood. I like the team. I think they made a great deal bringing in Richardson. I love that play. I mean, Seth Curry was great. He's best Curry, but you just got to improve the defense out there. So Richardson's a great pickup. I love their draft. There are a lot of things they did right, but again, the center position they still didn't wholly address, and that is going to hurt them. KP not being there is going to hurt them. Yeah, but when Luke is on, good luck.
I mean, I just with them, the thing with the Mavs is how long does it really take KP to get back? Because that's the thing where he's going to miss the beginning of the year. When he does come back, does it take them a little while to get rolling? I don't think so. I think they're going to hit a stride and hit it early. That's the thing. I've got them higher. I'm a little bit lower on the Nuggets. The team I'm really high on is the fucking Trailblazers.
Oh shit.
They are a team that just got better this year. I really love the addition of Rocco or Boko, as we call him on the show, Bob Covington. Like they are a team to where like I shot them up. I'm like fucking shoot them to the moon, Dave. Put them at the 2 seed because the only way this team can go is fucking up.
Yeah, I love the Blazers too. I had them at the 3. I didn't want to put them at the 2 because I didn't want to match you because when you and I agree, we're wrong. So couldn't do that.
Is that what happens when we agree we're wrong?
It does seem to be a trend, Ricky. When you and I buy in on the same thing, it gets bad because we snowball each other into the worst case possible. We're like, oh, I think you're onto something there. Let me just a little more gasoline on this fire. Just pour it on.
Oh,
like,
we do that, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It never ends well. It never ends well. So yeah, I'll take. I like the Blazers at the 3. I think they're a very competitive team. Again, they added in a lot of key pieces where they needed it. They addressed all of their needs in free agency and the draft. Love the roster makeup, but again, Damian Lillard and Nurkic, PG and Kawhi, and now Serge Ibaka, which is a massive upgrade over Trez. Don't care how bad Trez, 6-man runner-up number 2 guy, but don't give a fuck. Serge Ibaka is so much better of a player. It's not even funny. So I'm really, really happy about this team. And they added Luke Kennard. I think the Clippers got better. Obviously, the key thing for them is coaching.
Yeah.
That's why they lost last
Can
year.
Ty Lue be the player coach?
Yeah, I'm hoping he can. I'm hoping he can back the clock, be that guy who connects. And I'm hoping Paul George doesn't choke on his own. Never mind.
Pandemic P, baby. Pandemic P.
That was tough.
Before we go into the playoffs, let's read off we made award predictions as well. So we've got MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, 6-Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year, and then Most Improved Player. Dave, I'll have you go first. You can read yours, and then I'll read myself's and Soapy's. Who do you got winning each of these awards this year?
Sure. For MVP, I'm taking Luka Doncic because, of course, it's going to be Luka. Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis. He probably deserved it last year. Definitely deserves it this year. Rookie of the Year, this is a category where it's just stat stuffing. So I'm going LaMelo Ball. I think he'll have plenty of time in game, whereas like some other players maybe not. They might be better players, but the stat line for LaMelo Ball should look excellent. Spencer Dinwiddie getting my 6-Man of the Year award. I think he's going to be great on that Nets team. And when Kyrie's not on the court, going to be on Spence. Coach of the Year, probably Frank Vogel. Executive of the Year going Neil O'Shea. Obviously, we just talked about gushing about what the Blazers did this offseason. I think he's made the right moves. And if they need a midseason tweak, he's going to do it. Yeah. He's going to do it. He brought in Melo. And now Melo's back with dreads. He's got cornrows right now. He's got cornrows. Saw the picture. She looks really good. Looks in shape. And Most Improved Player of the Year, I'm going OG Anunoby. I might be down on the Raptors because of their roster, but I still love my boy OG. And I think that if they give him the chance to shoot the ball, he will be even better.
So I'll read off Soapy's before mine. I'll leave mine for last. Soapy's got Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, as your MVP this year. He also doubling down, Dave. The Giannis Antetokounmpo winning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back-to-back years. Three-peating it. He's got Wiseman as his Rookie of the Year. He's off from us because I'll spoil mine. It's LaMelo Ball. He's got Montrezl Harrell as his 6-Man from the Lakers, almost like Clippers. Yep. Frank Vogel, he's doubling down with you for Coach of the Year. He's going to pick Daryl Morey from the 76ers to be the Executive of the Year. And he's got Markelle Fultz as Most Improved Player. Didn't you pick Fultz last year?
I did. I did pick Markelle Fultz.
My thing came unplugged. I was like, I can't. I'm like, I can't hear him say yes.
I 100% picked Markelle Fultz, and you know what? He got better.
He
wasn't more improved than what Brandon Ingram did.
No, I mean,
yeah.
Last year, our MIPs last year, you picked Fultz, I picked Jaylen Brown, and then Sean picked DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
Did Jaylen Brown improve, or did he just kind of like? Did he stay the same and was already like good?
He's already very good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, did I get ragged on for that pick? For already picking a guy that was good? I kind of feel like I got ragged on for that.
He went. Oh no, I take it back. He made a jump.
Okay.
He did. He went from a 13-point game score to a 20-point game score.
Okay. JD said he improved a fair bit. Okay.
A fair bit. You're right. I
Okay.
totally yeah.
Because I was
Always
just
down Jalen Brown.
because mine are as follows. I think I'm going on a limb here, Dave. The caveat I'm going to have for MVP. I almost picked Luka Doncic like you did because I think Luka's going to have a great year this year.
Yeah.
However, if the Nets are the two, here's me playing storylines. If the Nets are the 2 seed, it's because of Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant's the MVP if they're the 2 seed. So I had to go KD. Had to go Kevin Durant MVP. I'm agreeing with you. Anthony Davis is your defensive player of the year, mainly because the Bucks have Drew Holiday, who plays some defense. They won't have to rely on Giannis as much defensively. That might
Their
hurt
numbers
him.
could still be insane.
Yeah,
that's the problem. They're, as a team, one of the best defensive teams in the league, and it's not just on Giannis. Giannis is just the best defensive player on an incredible defensive roster.
Yeah. Rookie of the year, I agree with you, LaMelo Ball. 6th man of the year, it's going to be the starter off the bench for the Miami Heat and Tyler Herro. Then the thing with the coach of the year, I almost did Stotts from the Blazers, but if the Nets are at 2, the Blazers are at 2, it's either going to be Steve Nash or Stotts. And I looked at coach of the year, and you either need one of 2 things to win coach of the year recently, Dave.
Yeah.
You need to be your first year with the team, or you need to have lost Kawhi Leonard the year before.
Really?
So that's why Steve Nash, first year as the Nets. Not many people having big expectations for Steve Nash, or kind of the what could we see from Steve Nash as a head coach? That's why I think he gets the nod. I've got Travis. I'm gonna fuck up the name. Shalanek. Hawks GM. He's going to win Executive of the Year because the Hawks are going to be dope as shit and make the playoffs. And then MPI, I originally had Zion. Williamson. I do think Zion's going to make a big bump, but Dave gave me shit that I'm picking a guy like Zion, and people who are second-year players usually get better after their rookie year. So Dave,
18 games in their first year.
So Dave, well, that's another thing. Like, I feel like people vote him in just because of that.
Yeah, there's a chance they will.
But I will move on. I won't pick Zion. I will double down on a guy that I think is going to play better this year. He is going to put the foot in the mouth of Bulls fans. Lauri Markkanen is going to be your most improved player of the year. He is going to prove that Jim Boylan was the fault. Jim Boylan didn't know how to use him. Plus, he's not going to be injured, which was also a thing as well.
I mean, Lowry can get better, but, Patrick Williams might be coming for the minutes. Just say it.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking Otto ain't going to be playing much, so Patrick going to be playing at that 3, if you know what I'm saying.
You think Otto's gone?
Yeah, I think Otto's gone. Get him out of fucking town, Dave. Who the fuck is this guy? That's what I'm saying. Who the fuck is this guy? Patrick Williams at the 3, Lowry at the 4, and then fucking Wendell at the 5, I guess, for this year. But let's move on into playoffs, Dave.
Sure.
This is one where we'll kind of like just go through our entire playoffs. I'll put the graphic up, and then we'll just kind of talk about the playoffs as a whole. The thing I want to talk about first, though, before I put the graphics up, play-in tournaments. I'll let you start. What do you see for the play-in tournaments on each side for the East and the West?
So in the East, I have Raptors over the Hawks. Pacers.
So the Raptors then get the 7th seed.
Pacers over the Bulls. And then the Hawks over the Pacers.
Okay. So Raptors win the 7th, and then the Hawks win the 8th.
Yep.
What about
so literally no change.
Yeah.
I thought that was a waste of time for me.
What about the West? Do you have anything changing over there?
In the West, I've got the Warriors over the Suns, which is a switch up.
Yeah, you got the 8 beating the 7.
Then I got the Rockets over the Grizzlies, and then the Suns over the Rockets. So I do have the Suns losing the series to the Warriors because I think, well, I should say losing the playing game to the Warriors, and then losing their positioning down 1 spot because of that. So the head-to-head concerns me because playoff mode Steph Curry scares me. He's incredibly efficient. He's just dangerous. And who knows by that point in the season, like Wiseman could be a true matchup for Aiden.
Yeah.
You know, that could be dangerous. Devin Booker is very good, but at the same time, I'm going to get shot for this. But like the combination The combination.
I hate Soapy so much.
I can't say it out loud. Like, no, I'm just not going there.
Uh,
The Warriors will find a way to beat the Suns in that game somehow.
Ball is not going to be a bust. Like that's just it, Soapy. I don't know what to tell you. I love you, but I don't know what to tell you. I do love Dave. You're like, you read off your East and you go, well, that was a fucking waste of time. I at least don't have a waste of time. And mine, the play-in for the East. So 7-8 Wizards against Pacers. Wizards beat the Pacers. Like they don't stand a chance for the Wizards. Then the Hawks play the Bulls. Bulls are sent home packing. And then the Hawks beat the Pacers. So I have the Hawks, who were the 9th seed, actually getting into the playoffs. Pacers falling out of it. And then in the West, I've got a 10th seed getting into the playoffs, where the Jazz beat the Rockets. They stay as the 7th seed. The Suns beat the Pelicans in a 1 game. And then the Suns beat the Rockets because the Rockets won't have James Harden at this time. I think that he either will not be playing or he will be traded. So the Suns, the 10th seed, moves up to the 8th, knocks the Rockets out of the playoffs, and that's how they will be the 8th seed. So Dave, we're going to start with you. What's your playoffs? How we're going to do it a little bit different from years past. Run us through the whole thing up to the finals. So don't give us your champion. Give us everything but your finals champion.
Before I do that, Soapy did want to ask, how do the play-in brackets actually work?
All right. So the play-in bracket is, I'm going to use my East as an example. So it's 2 games. It's 7 and 8 play each other. So for me, here, let me pull it up so you guys can see it a little bit. I'll pull up Soapy's. So like, here's Soapy's bracket. 7-8 play each other. So for Soapy's, the Suns would play the Jazz in 1 game. Let's say the Suns win it. The Suns would then get the 7th seed. So the winner of 7-8 get the 7th seed. And then the 9 and 10th seed play. Let's say the Grizzlies win it. Whoever wins the 9-10 game then plays the loser of the 7-8 game, and the winner of that game gets the 8th seed. So basically it's 7 and 8. They play for the 7th seed. And then the loser of that game has to win a game in order to get the 8th seed. If they lose, then whoever won the 9-10 matchup can grab the 8th seed.
Hope that clarified for everyone.
Don't ask
Good
me.
question.
Don't ask me why the NBA. Like, I know why the NBA wanted to do this, because they feel like losing revenue last year, gonna lose revenue this year. I feel like a little bit, so they feel like they have to add an extra game. Plus, people love the play-in thing last year. I just don't know why you don't keep it the same thing as last year, though. Just keep it the same thing as last year. I would have just said have it be that 8 and 9 play a play-in game. Like, boom, there you go. I don't know why we had to add the 10, but yeah, that's how it works. Thank you, Soapy. I was just assuming people know. But Dave, we'll start with you. What's your playoffs all the way until your finals?
So I got the starting the Eastern Conference. I'm gonna have Bucks over the Hawks in the first round, Heat over the Raptors, Celtics over the Wizards, and the Nets over the 76ers. Second round of the East, I've got.
Does that graphic show all the way through? Yeah, it does. Wow.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It's a little different because on OBS I can't do the whole like they come up individually like I did on the YouTube video.
But yeah, then second round I've got Nets over the Bucks, as you can see, Heat over the Celtics, and then the Eastern Conference Finals I do have the Heat beating the Nets to return to the NBA Finals. In the West, I have the Lakers over the Suns in the first round, Clippers over the Warriors, the Blazers over the Mavs, and the and the Jazz over the Nuggets. Second round of the playoffs in the West, I've got the Jazz losing to the Lakers, and I got the Blazers beating the Clippers. Western Conference Finals turns into a Lakers showdown versus the Blazers. A little rematch, but yet again, the Blazers will fall short because the Lakers are so damn good. So that does leave me with the Lakers and Heat in a rematch of the NBA Finals, showing the bubble is not a fluke.
Do you think that would be dumb question? Do you think that would be the ultimate ratings give it? Like, what would get more ratings in your scenario? Lakers Nets or Lakers Heat?
Nets would get more ratings because New York.
Okay. I was thinking like KD versus LeBron.
Well, that too,
like
but Brooklyn. You're adding in the entire East.
Good point. Good point. For mine, I'll start in the East like Dave did. Bucks, they beat the Hawks. I almost wanted the Hawks to beat the Bucks, but fuck it. The Bucks go on. Then the Raptors, Celtics. Raptors technically have home court, but the Celtics get by because, neither team has really bigs down low, but it doesn't matter when you can't stop Tatum and Brown, you move on. Then you've got the Heat over the 76ers because, Jimmy Butler lives in Joel Embiid's head rent-free, and the 76ers can't beat their daddies, which is Jimmy Butler and the Heat. Then the Nets go ahead and beat the Wizards. Bucks then move on after the beating of the Celtics. Nets beat the Heat to move on. That was a tough one for me because I'm really high on the Heat and wanted them to win, but KD and Kyrie might be too much for that Jimmy Goran and younger team. Then the Bucks, Nets. I got the Nets moving on because the Bucks, they can't win in the big game. They can't get to the finals. So Nets go all the way to the NBA Finals. Lakers beat the Suns. Mavericks will beat the Nuggets. Clippers beat the Warriors, as it pains me to say because I love the Warriors so much. Trailblazers beat the Jazz. Then the Lakers beat Luka Doncic in a 7-game series. The Blazers move past Kawhi and Pandemic P in order to get a rematch with the Lakers. And David happens. Boko shutting them down. Boko shutting people down. Dame going off. Dollar Dame being Dame all day, every day. And it sets up the storyline. Their coach was snubbed. Stott should have won Coach of the Year, but Steve Nash took it from him. Blazers and Nets in the finals. Dame thinking he should have been the MVP, but Kevin Durant took it from him. Blazers and Nets in the finals. In your thought with the playoffs, what's the biggest linchpin do you see in the playoffs of is there a team that can go in and surprise, or are we basically looking especially for the West, is it just a Lakers all the way? Or is there someone that could topple the defending champs before they get to the finals?
The Blazers beating the Lakers.
I know. For me, I'm asking you though. Is there a chance? Because you obviously didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't because the Lakers have Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I don't know if you've heard of LeBron James. He's the best player to play basketball. It's kind of not fair. The Clippers could be better. Clippers could win a series against the Lakers in theory. They still don't have a point guard, so you got to address that fucking problem. The problem is Lakers won a championship and then got better. That's a real tough.
Adding Harold, Schroeder, Gasol.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I think the Clippers could win. I think the Blazers could win. The Nuggets, it depends on MPJ and Bol. Everybody getting healthy out there, so they have a healthy Gary Harris. They have a healthy the second player, Will the Thrill Barton.
Yep.
They're a team who, yes, they're incredibly deep. How much of a loss is Jeremy Grant and Plumlee? Nobody really knows. Everybody overrated Jeremy Grant after his good playoff performance, but $20 million is a lot of money. And his role obviously is going to be bigger on the Pistons, so you can't blame him for leaving. But I do love the idea of Bol and MPJ in a lineup going in the playoffs. That could be very, very good. The Jazz, I think, were literally they could have beat the Nuggets if they had Bojan Bogdanovic out there. They were one fuck up away from winning that series anyway. So I think the Jazz have every chance to win out. Their matchup against the Lakers, I would love to see. I don't know how that would play out, to be honest with you. But they can beat just about everybody in the playoffs. Mavericks, I don't know, just too early. It just doesn't. No, they're not going to 1 year wonder it this early in Luka's career. That'd be insane. We've never seen a player so young win a championship on his back like this since Magic Johnson style. Suns probably not. Warriors definitely not. Yeah, so really, the top 5 in the West could all win it. In the East, the Bucks, sure. The Heat, sure. The Celtics, I hate Kemba Walker, so no. The Nets, sure. 76ers, no. So yeah, there's 3 teams in the West. 3 in the East. I'm sorry, 3 in the East, 5 in the West could win a championship. Pizza's here. Yep.
Yeah, I knew my mom was going to order a pizza. I didn't expect us to be this long. So yeah, my dogs are freaking out. That's why I muted so that Dave could talk a little bit.
My rant's done.
I mean, for me, obviously, I have the Blazers winning, but let's be honest. I just want to fucking ride the Blazers' dick this year. Let's be completely honest with that. The Lakers are the favorite and probably will be the favorite, and it's going to be hard to topple them. The thing for me, though, in the East, it's one of those to where, like, the Nets, if they're not cooking this year and the injury to KD does slow them down, are they susceptible to an upset? And, like, I'll be honest, Hawks-Bucks, that series might go 7. Like, might be a little bit of, you go, Ricky, come on. But, like, the thing of the Hawks may surprise people this year. Plus the Bucks, I've never been high on them. They're a team that's always going to be first in the East standings-wise. And then they get to the playoffs and they never get to the finals. That's how I think they're going to be.
Team. I agree. Their coach does not make good moves. He does not adjust, and they don't. We'll see how much of an answer Drew Holiday is. Like, I don't think he solves all their problems. He helps because Eric Bledsoe was terrible, but I don't know that he can push them over the top. I mean, Giannis is already a freak of nature, statistically, athletically, everything else you want to see. So it's you're asking a lot. We'll see.
And like JD says, he says keep sleeping on him. Let's be honest. I put my bracket up there. Here's the thing with me. If you beat the Bucks, which I almost had you doing, but then at the end I said no, I would then have the Nets beat the Celtics. So, like, for me, it's one of those to where it's like the Celtics is how much of a loss will Gordon Hayward be? And also it's like, yeah, you could beat the Bucks in the second round, but like if KD and Kyrie are cooking and if they trade for a James Harden, maybe that's me kind of banking that Harden gets traded to the Nets in these. No way the Celtics are contending with KD.
Both have the same Eastern Conference second round, which I find funny, just in a different order. You know, that's all.
You're talking Bucks, Celtics, Nets, Heat.
Yeah,
because they're all good. Because they're all good. Like
we both have the same Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I just don't see. Yeah, I look at all the other teams I have losing, like. The Hawks I wanted to for the memes, but I couldn't. And like looking at yours, like, yeah, we have the exact same 8 teams, just in a different order with the bottom 4. Or actually a different order in total.
Being healthy, I think even with a half healthy team, they're still a top 4 team. They could fall to top 7, to be honest. Like I could see the Nets being the 7th best team in the East because of health issues and resting players. I mean, the 76ers are probably due for a lot, but like Doc's coaching is under suspect right now. You got a little sus. And they made a lot of roster moves, so we'll have to see how that pans out.
Ben Simmons don't shoot threes, so like
on paper it should work. In game with Coach Rivers, we shall see what happens. You know, that's there are a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in this these brackets here.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we reveal who our champions are?
Finals it.
Dave, I'm going to pull up your bracket. I'm going to make sure your champion is locked up. Oh, it switched off us for a second. Who's your champion? Lakers Heat. Who wins it?
I mean, it's the Lakers again. I hate to fucking say it, but like even if the Heat were 100% healthy this past year, they probably weren't winning it. It would have gone 7, no doubt, but like that would have been a very tough series. I don't know that they make a big enough jump to get over what the Lakers have done. So that's why I have to take the Lakers for another championship here. It's a back-to-back. It's LeBron James. And you know who my Finals MVP is, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Who?
You know who that is?
Who is it?
That's Alex Caruso.
The Caruso, baby.
I mean, he's going to step up this year. He's going to be the man. Like, he's going to be huge for them, for the memes.
Fucking love the Caruso. I love that you're picking the Caruso.
Have to
win it all. But for mine, it's very simple. Like, this is one, like I said, this is a very like the storylines coming into this finals, if it's Nets and Blazers, is Blazers were a good team. Many people would have thought that Stotts was going to get Coach of the Year, but he does not. Steve Nash gets it. The voters also vote for KD over Damian Lillard, who many might think deserves the MVP if the Blazers are second in the West. So Blazers kind of come in this with a little chip on their shoulder, where it's like you get all the recognition from the pundits. We're going to put you down. And that's what the Blazers do. They win it all. Then Damian Lillard after last year. You beat LeBron. You're good enough to beat KD in the finals. And it's just the ultimate kind of dagger into KD of like, oh, guess you can't win the finals with Kyrie Irving. And also it kind of puts a little slander on what Kyrie said. That when he hurt LeBron by saying that, now that I'm playing with KD, I'm playing with a guy who can take that shot in the finals. Where LeBron is like, wow, dog, you were fucking playing with the best player in the NBA right now. I thought we were all cool over here. Any final thoughts before we wrap everything up?
No, it's gonna be a good season one way or the other. You know, I don't take the Lakers being in the finals as inevitable or a bad thing or anything like that. It's just like, hey, we're getting really good basketball. Just be happy.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you before we end this.
Sure.
I sometimes ask you these things. This is kind of a production question.
Sure.
So we did the reason why we did all 15 is because we're gonna do a first mock draft.
Oh no.
When do you want to record that? That's what I will ask you. Do you want to record it this week or next week?
I'd probably record it this week.
Okay.
Maybe Friday. Maybe Saturday.
Okay. Yeah. That'll work. That'll work for us. Fucking yeah. Because I can't wait to do that. I'm going to come up with the order based off of all three of ours. What did Soapy say? Don't skimp on my. Oh, you didn't say anything. Oh, he said a team versus a team, and it says somebody in the finals.
He's not wrong. Two teams will play for a championship, and someone will be the MVP.
Is that what Soapy meant? Is that what he wanted me to read?
Yep, unless the season's canceled because somehow we have a second pandemic hit. And we ain't prepared for that level yet.
Yeah.
You know, 2021 turns out it can get worse than 2020.
Yeah, it can. Hopefully it doesn't get worse than 2020 because it's kind of been a shit year. But you don't have one on there, Soapy. It says a team versus a team. Someone. Am I missing something, Dave? Did I not read Soapy's? It literally, he's got nothing written down. So Soapy. I'm 100% right. I was like, I said a team versus a team and someone. I was like, is that what he wants me to read?
He's on the delay.
But let me know what you guys think, or let us know what you think down below. Remember, join the greatest community in all of the internet. That's our Discord, link down below in the description, or exclamation Discord into Twitch chat. Get you in there if you want to support us. Patreon.com/MVPvids is how you do that. Again, link down below, or exclamation Patreon. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids. We're also on YouTube at MVP Sports, so go ahead and tune in for that. Also on Friday will be our fantasy basketball mock draft. Can't wait for that, Dave. It's during the same time the Bulls game, so gonna have to pre-record that Bulls game, watch it a little bit later. Bulls and Rockets.
I'm just gonna watch it instead.
Dave's like, gonna watch it instead. It just auto draft. Dave can auto draft the
team. I don't want to be responsible for ending people's careers.
Do you get injured? No, we went over this. Yes,
it does carry over. I do.
It does carry over. But that is going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow talking about a lot. We got to talk about Ohio State tomorrow, Dave. That's for sure, because that was the big news coming out today.
We're going to talk about Ohio State. We're going to talk about your Illinois. I don't know.
They got Fighting Illini. They're playing Duke
tonight. Fighting Illini versus Duke in a couple minutes.
Playing. JD says don't pick Tatum, Dave. I swear to God.
Again, maybe I'll take payment. You know, maybe you become a tier 3 sub, and I'll pick Tatum.
He fucking takes payment. Jesus Christ. But that's gonna do it for us. We will be back tomorrow. Want to thank you guys for doing everything that you guys do, and as always, have a good day, everybody.